I just wrapped a fantastic theater production here in Delaware of Footloose, and I am still soaking my sore old muscles recovering from it. What I got to see as part of that group was collaborative leadership where individual contributors were valued. There was no hierarchy, and it really made me double down on how important valuing ICs is to your organization. And I'm speaking specifically to the orgs out there that are doing their best work to try to value people, staying in role, staying deeply technical, and trying to prove that you don't have to be a manager to be a leader and to be valued. I've seen so many organizations down a healthy path, but you're still falling short. You may have found a way to have a career path for ICs where they can get promoted and not have to be managers to do so. You may have found ways to pay them on par with your senior managers. Fantastic. Here's one of the ways you are still falling short. If you are still doing comp cycles, year-end reviews, where you look and compare people to each other and say, okay, you did this well compared to this person, therefore you deserve this much comp compared to them. Here is a problem. ICs fight very hard to be in senior positions because your position organizationally is often equal to your autonomy and access to the authority you need to get your job done. That means that many of your peers, if not all of your peers, are managers of large organizations of dozens, if not hundreds of people. When it comes time to compare you against your peers, we are still doing this strange thing where we compare output rather than impact. So we will look at our individual contributors and rightly look at what did you accomplish and what did you do, which is 100% about them. Everything they accomplished and did was with their own two hands. We compare that against their peers' output of their entire organization. And rather than looking at the output of their two hands, we look at the collective output of the dozens or hundreds of people that work for them, rather than looking at impact. What impact did that manager have on their organization? Maybe those hundreds of people would have done more without them or with a different manager. Maybe those hundreds of people succeeded in spite of their manager. Or maybe that manager is having a huge impact on their teams and their influence and their ability to support their teams made a big difference. But you can't know that looking at output. All you know is the collective output of those people is more than the collective output of one person. Because of course it is. No IC can ever keep up with the collective output of dozens or hundreds of people. Another place we're failing is the concept of leadership teams. Leadership teams is where decisions are made. It's the seat at the table. How do you have a say in your own fate, in the future, in strategy, in outcomes, and the quick decisions that are made around a table of people, meeting weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, on the regular, to really decide and course correct. Leadership teams are often staffed by the direct reports of the person that has created the team. Direct reports tend to be their management team. As an individual contributor, you have to fight your way organizationally up in order to have a seat at that table. Leadership teams should be staffed with leaders who are the people in your organization that have the most influence, the most skills, the most experience to be able to have a good, well-informed, wise sense of impact and input into the decisions you're making. Whether that be your managers or your individual contributors shouldn't matter. Who those people are should matter and the kind of impact they have. Staffing leadership teams with only your direct reports is a surefire way to make sure your leadership teams are management teams. Third, but probably not the last, in the ways that you are discouraging your individual contributors is in the recognition that you give. Projects, outcomes, town halls, things tend to get attributed to the name of the manager of the organization. Look at the great work that Suzanne did here. Suzanne and her team, Suzanne and her org. We tend to name the leader and not the people that actually accomplished the work when we go to give recognition. That doubles down on our perception that the leader is key, that the leader is the celebrity, and that manager is the one that is really going to take the credit and the accolades for the work that's done. Finding ways instead to name teams rather than individuals is a good path. So I'm on a team. I would much rather look at the amazing work Devrel did than look at the amazing work that Aaron did, or that Steve did, or that Sol did. Even if you're passing kudos on up the chain, I would much rather hear a team or an organization named than an individual. Definitely not if that individual is the manager. Finding ways to give collective credit so that we can actually reward people that contribute and influence and build the whole is a great way to go down that path. So those are my 3 for now. So the first, stop comparing the contributions of an individual to the contributions of a manager's entire organization. Find ways to fair your comp, to fair your assessment of people. Number 2, stop making leadership teams be your direct reports and just your managers. Instead, make your leadership team maybe even a rotating cast of the people that you think are the most influential and important to the work you're doing right now. And 3, stop giving credits to the manager or the figurehead and instead find ways to name the collective organization or the team when you are assessing credit and when you are giving accolades and fame. All right, back to soaking.